Okay, welcome back to today's podcast. So this is going to be an evening clean. It's going to be an evening clean of living spaces. So this might look a little bit different for you depending on what you've got going on in the way of living spaces, but I have an open plan kitchen, dining room, kind of like desk area, open space, and then a living area. So that's what I'm going to be focusing on today. So because it's the evening for me, first job is going to be just to get some good lights on. So wherever you're working, make sure you've got good visibility, put on any lights that are going to help you work. And obviously doesn't have to be the evening. If it's morning where you are, you can use this cleaning session any time of day. So I have already got my dishwasher on the go, so you might want to quickly pause the podcast, go and load up your dishwasher and get that started. That said, I also have a ton more dishes in my kitchen. It's kind of crazy right now, so we're going to be doing a mega hand wash session as well, so don't feel like you need to get all caught up on the dishes straight away, because even though I have my dishwasher running, I very much still have more to do in that department. So I think what's going to be logical right now is to start in the living area, because if we get the living area straight, then we'll have all of the dishes already in the kitchen ready to go. So head to your living space and go to your coffee table and clear up any dishes that you have on your coffee table. And if you don't have dishes on your coffee table, just do a general declutter of the spaces in your living room. The surfaces, of your living room. Just do a general declutter of those. Maybe you've got hobbies lying out. Maybe you have condiments. You might literally have food items still out. I've still got sauce bottles laying there from having dinner earlier. So just get picking up whatever that looks like for you. So if you are like me, you will be leaving like a miscellaneous little collection of things ready for a partner to look at, or maybe you're thinking about where to put something. Next, also pick up any trash. So if you have any trash on the floor, on the surfaces, take that either to a trash bin or it might need to go to the recycling. And I've also got a credit card laid out on my table. I've got some ibuprofen that needs to go to the medicine cabinet. So whatever your random bits of pieces are, go for it and tidy those away. I personally, for this tidying session, I'm going to be using the laundry basket method, which is basically where you put any items that don't belong in the space that you're working into a laundry basket, and then when you're ready to move on from that area, then you can move on with the laundry basket and take the things where they need to go around your house. This is a really good way of cleaning and tidying if you're working in a space where you don't want to be going backwards and forwards between a lot of spaces, and it's also good if you don't want to disturb another part of your house. So right now in our flat, my wife's already in bed and we've got some big double partition doors just off our open plan living space, and then a kind of entranceway corridor with like cupboards off it, and then we've got the bedrooms. So I've just partitioned myself off so I can record this podcast and also not interrupt her, so I'm not going backwards and forwards. It makes sense for me to use the laundry basket method today. So things like the credit card would normally go in the hall stand, things like the medication packet I've just picked up would go in our medicine basket, but they're both going in this laundry basket because they belong elsewhere. So I'm getting there with my coffee table, but the next job for me is electronic controls. So we have an Xbox controller and TV remotes that need returning. So how are you getting on? How's your coffee table looking? And once we're done, for some of you, it may also need a clean, especially if you're the people who eat off your coffee table, which we tend to do. So I'm definitely going to wipe ours down. I'm just going to use a slightly moistened Scrub Mommy sponge and a cleaning spray, which I've actually made up myself. It's just some drops of washing up liquid, fairy liquid, it's the original one, mixed with some fresh sterilized water, and that's a really good cleaning spray if you need to quickly mix up a cleaning solution, you haven't got a lot of cleaning ingredients in. It's really effective, and it's actually really fragrant. I love the smell of the original fairy liquid, and it actually comes through nicely even just from having a few drops in a bottle. So wipe down your coffee table in whatever way is best for you. We have a painted coffee table, but it's got a Melanex cover on it, which is why I can just use a regular cleaning spray, but maybe at this point you need to get some Mr. Muscle or Pledge or something like that if you're on a wood surface. So keep working away, clearing and cleaning that coffee table, and I just have the one coffee table, but if you have multiple coffee tables, so like a coffee table and then maybe a couple of side tables, or maybe you have something like a tray that you keep on a sofa, or a kind of table style thing that sits on the arm of a sofa, any kind of surface in your living area, just focus this last moment on clearing that and cleaning that, whatever those surfaces look like for you. So that's my coffee table done. So next I'm looking at the couch. So if you start to look at your couch now, for me today, I've got cushions strewn everywhere, I've got blankets strewn everywhere, I have got laundry mismatched, folded this way and that in various locations along the back of the couch, along the front of the couch, which needs organising and putting somewhere. So what does your couch look like to you? Do a quick assessment and get started. So if you're like me and you've got cushions and things, start by arranging those, and you'll inevitably find some miscellaneous items on the couch, whether it's down a cushion or just like as you pick up blankets you might discover things. So take any of those miscellaneous items maybe to your laundry basket if you're doing the same method as me, wherever they need to go. So I'm just straightening up my cushions. And for anybody at this point in the podcast who has pets, you might need to get like a sticky roller to pick up some of that pet hair. You might need to grab a mini vacuum just to take care of that. If you have kids, same thing, but for like crumbs and things that little kids can leave behind. Okay, hopefully you've made a bit of progress sorting out your couch area. What I'm moving on to now is just clearing the laundry from that space. So maybe like me, you've also done a half-hearted folding session and you've not quite managed to see the back of it. So it's time to finish that. And I'm just folding up my laundry into a small basket. And because I'm just cleaning in this designated space today, I'm actually not going to be putting that away in drawers this evening, but I'm just going to make sure that it's all organised and basketed up and ready to take to its relevant location tomorrow. And it's just going to help make my space look so much tidier and more organised, because it really does look quite messy when you're folding laundry everywhere, even though it's, it's clean laundry, but it can still look a bit crazy when you're in the middle of your laundry folding factory. Some stuff I can put away immediately, so there's always some stuff that comes through a laundry load that belongs in the kitchen. So I've got tea towels and cleaning cloths that are going away in a drawer in the kitchen. And I've also got some dirty laundry as well hanging about. So sometimes in the evening when you've taken like a jumper off, or you've changed into some shorts and taken a pair of joggers off or something like that, sometimes those clothes can be left strewn around your living area, but they actually need to go into the washing machine or into the laundry basket. Now, that's my couch nearly picked up. The only thing I have left is a hot water bottle, which I'm just going to grab. How are you getting on? Hopefully you're making some good progress and making an improvement to your couch space. So last 10 seconds on the couch space. If you need to stop the podcast and keep working there, then go for it. So next, pay attention to the floor in your living space, and you might need to look under a couch, especially if you have pets, especially if you have kids, and even if you don't, because I've just looked under the couch and found my wife's wallet, which she's been looking for a day or two. So quickly pick up any of those bits, and again run them to their relevant location if that's what you're doing, or use the laundry basket method if you're tidying like I am today. Okay, so that's my floor picked up. Because it's evening, I am not hoovering or doing anything loud, so I'm just leaving that today. My other surfaces are pretty clear and tidy. There's nothing like major that I feel like I want to tend to at this point in time. And when I say clear and tidy, I'm not talking about like everything is super minimal. Like, there's books out on one coffee table, there's my wife's video games out on another one, but I don't just obsessively go around tidying everything, if that makes sense. I just tidy what makes sense and what feels like it's working, what feels like it's going to work. I've also in the living space got a laundry drying rack, which is kind of 3/4 of the way there to drying, but I'm going to leave it overnight, so that's going to stay out. And I also have the beginnings of a pile of things we will probably be taking to charity, but I don't really know exactly what I want to do with that next, how I want to bag it up. Maybe my wife wants a second look at some of those things before we do the final decision to get rid of those, so I'm just going to leave that in a pile because I don't really know what to do with it. So that's it. So do a quick wrap around now and close out any tasks in your living space. And we're going to move on to, if you head next to any spaces that are kind of under this category, so a desk space, an office space. This could also be like an entranceway space where you have like surfaces when you come in, so like console tables and that kind of thing. Any kind of hallway spaces, any mezzanines, any like all of those like in between places that might not even in some of your homes be considered an official room, but it's still a space that needs attention. So head there now. So what that looks like for me is basically in our open plan setup, we have a living space, and then immediately behind the living space, I have a bureau, and then there's like a long piece of, there's basically like a space, like a piece of flooring where I will do yoga and things like that, but it's also a space where things can kind of get put. And then just off that, then we have a dining space. So sometimes when I do these cleaning podcasts, I actually include that bureau area in our dining space, which it kind of is, but it's also kind of like its own thing as well. So I'm treating it as its own thing today anyway. So if you head to that space, whatever that looks like for you, and just do a quick visual assessment of what you've got going on. So for me, I can see that we have got some backpacks which I need to pick up. We've got a drying rack that's empty that needs folding down, and my bureau space is currently open with headphones. There's jars which have had snacks in that I've eaten my way through. There's tarot cards lying out. There's, I think, like what looks like a t-shirt or something. There's shoes on the floor. So just general clutter. So take a look around your equivalent of this space and just take note. And let's start by picking up any clutter and organising things that are on the floor. So I'm going to start by folding down the laundry drying rack and moving some shoes. And I've recently washed 3 of our backpacks. So for anybody that doesn't know, and this is not an official recommendation, so obviously always like use your intuition and read the care labels of products first, but I put backpacks in the washing machine on a delicate cycle. So we are slightly planning ahead for a trip which we have coming up in June, where we want to take clean, fresh backpacks away. And we were just kind of doing a general sort through of our luggage recently as well, and yeah, we just came across 3 backpacks which we definitely wanted to keep hold of for our forthcoming trip. And one of these backpacks is my wife's work bag, and she was just complaining about how it's gotten so dirty, it's gotten so grubby, but she kind of wants to keep a hold of it because it is good for her work. And I was like, let's wash them, like I've done that before, and it actually does make a difference. I think that this also makes me think of like washing trainers as well. Like even if you don't necessarily put them through the washing machine, like you can actually with a cream cleaner really make a difference to trainers. And sometimes when we're looking at something thinking, oh, it's so grubby and old and I need to replace it, like actually sometimes with a good cleaner or maybe a cycle through a washing machine, things can be improved. So yeah, so I've just washed 3 of our backpacks and they've come out really nicely, and they're all fresh and ready for our holiday, smelling lovely. Yeah, they smell really good. So I'm just picking those up, and at the moment I'm not going to be doing a lot of work in our entranceway space where I would ultimately store these bags and also the shoes I'm picking up. So what I'm doing is, these are too big to fit in my laundry basket with the laundry basket method, but I'm just going to tidy all of these things as near as possible to where they need to go when I'm in that area, if that makes sense. So everything can kind of flow to where it needs to go. So how's if you are in the category of people who have an office at home, how is that going for you? Maybe you work from home, so actually that part of your house takes a real beating because of its use. Like maybe you're there most days creating coffee cup stains and all the rest of it. maybe you've got stationery strewn everywhere, maybe there's pen marks you even need to wipe up, maybe there's electronic equipment that you need to take care of. And another thing to consider as well when I'm talking about cleaning and tidying office and desk spaces, what does that actually look like for you and what is functional? So for me, I've been working on something which has felt really important, and I kind of just psychologically don't want to completely fold down my laptop and shut it away and unplug it and like literally put the device in drawers and put the charger away. I kind of have this feeling like I just want to keep it relevant and easily accessible because of this big important thing I've been working on. So I'm actually just going to close the top of the MacBook and leave it where it is and not completely close everything down. But some things I can do is things like tidy the coasters. I've tidied these snack jars and any sort of general clutter. And I think that I'm pretty much there with that space now. So either stop the podcast if you want to keep working time with me, or just keep working and listen along if that's good for you as well. So next, move to your dining area. So wherever you have a kind of general household table. So for some of you that could be a dining area, it could be kitchen table for some of you, but just head there now. And first off, just go to the surface that you're working with and remove any trash to start off with. So this could be food wrappers, it could be packaging. For me, I've got a cap, I've got sunglasses. Chewing gum, more sunglasses, a meditation tool, a clean sock, a fidget tool, some cologne, some travel bottles. Got headphones. So our dining space very much gets filled up with like everyday paraphernalia. Not usually things like crockery for us because we don't eat off our dining table, but it's all the other stuff of life, the clutter, the packages, the bits and bobs, this and that. That's the kind of stuff that ends up here. And also, a bit like in the living area on the coffee table, there's some items that I can't really do anything with until I've checked with my wife, so that's just going to have to stay here for now till I get a moment to ask her. I've got bags, I've got coats to pick up, I've got oven gloves which I'm pretty sure are gonna need to go through the wash rather than taken back to the kitchen. And it should be said as well, in this dining space, I am not doing a clean. So this is kind of, I would say the general theme of this podcast today is more of an evening pickup rather than like a mega clean. I obviously am going to be cleaning like in focused areas. So like we've already done the coffee table and I'm obviously going to be cleaning kitchen surfaces and things. But yeah, this isn't like, I'm not about to get the wood polish out to do the dining table and that kind of thing. Okay, so I'd say like last 10 seconds in the dining space or the the table space wherever you are, just make it make a bit more sense. Make it look a little bit less crazy. And then come and join me in the kitchen. So first up in the kitchen, gather up any trash off surfaces. So this might look like food wrappers. It might look like food that needs to be thrown away. And some of you also, like me, might need to seal up a bin. I'm not going to take the bin out right now because it's late and our bin chute makes a lot of noise. But I'm going to help my tomorrow self by doing as much as I can to ease things in the morning. So making sure that the lid of the bin is off and I've tied up that bag so it's literally just ready to pull out. So with a fresh bin liner, I'm just going to go around, continue going around the surfaces and collecting up any rubbish. So we've got orange peel on plates going on, crisp packets, plastic film. I've got tops of strawberries. I've got the rest of a pizza that we couldn't finish and we didn't want to keep. I had my first ever experience of trying macaroni cheese on a pizza. Shout out to anybody listening who's in Scotland. And I don't know, I'm not sure I'll try it again. But I'm glad I had the experience. So keep going around with your bin bag. I've still got things like paper towels, I've got tea bags, I've got lemon outsides, I've got more strawberries. We made pancakes this morning, hence all the strawberries. More lime and more lemon skins. Okay, and I think that's that with all of the rubbish. So next, once you've done rubbish from all of your surfaces, next do condiments and food items that need to be not need to be thrown away, that need to be put away. So I have got some sauce, some mayo racha sauce that needs to be put in the fridge. I've got some sunflower oil that needs to be put in the oil cupboard. I've got ketchup and vinegar and syrup that needs to be put in the condiments cupboard. And in the pantry cupboard, I've got sugar that needs to go away, and I've also got a sugar alternative to be put away. And I've got flour to be put away. Some gum, some crisps to be put away. a lemon to be put away, a banana to be put away. So keep picking up any food that you've had lying out. I've also just got the, like, one of those squirty squash, like concentrated things that you pour into water. So I think my wife's interested in trying that. And a banana to put away. Okay, so looking around, I think that's all of my food items picked up. So next, I think let's head to your draining space. So let's clear your draining space so we can make room for doing a hand wash in a moment. So whatever you have in the way of draining, crack on. And if any of what I'm describing doesn't quite apply to you exactly, then no worries, just pick a task that feels like the next best thing or the most relevant thing to you in your space. Like maybe you didn't get a chance to do your dishwasher earlier, but now you're going to go do that. And a lot of people might have recycling items draining. I know that that's usually the case for us. So keep going. If you're anything like me at the moment, you have a lot of stuff to clear. We've been in a real phase at the moment of doing like a big clean, and then we'll just be really messy and not picking up after ourselves for like several days. And we've been in a bit of a cycle of that the last few weeks, I would say, where we go from just being really clean and things feeling organized, and then just the complete opposite, almost like we literally can't function in between. It's really funny how you have like moods and like certain phases of how things are in the home, and like sometimes for a lot of women I think it's definitely hormonal related, but not always. I feel like sometimes it's just like the mood of the day or something that's going on. I don't know. The energy of the day or something like that. So the last few times I've come to record the podcast, it's felt like, there's like a lot of stuff to get through, and it's like basic stuff. So it's not even like we're getting to the point where it's like, oh, we'll do a microwave clean or we'll do something like that we don't normally do. No, it's literally just like wading through the basics. But I feel like all house states are fine. So if that's how you've been, then join the club. So I am now rubber gloved and I'm going to start hand washing items, and this is going to be quite a big job for me. So if you are the same as me, then like we're going to be well timed to do this together. But I am conscious that there are some people listening who are more ahead of their washing up game. So if you are, maybe this is time for you to unload the dishwasher. Maybe this is time for you to do an extra kitchen job. So if you have everything else done, it's time to clean the hob. It's maybe time to do a spot clean of your oven. It's maybe time to clean the overhead of your cooker. Maybe you have some extra shelves in the kitchen that you can take care of. Maybe you could use this time to sort out a cupboard or clean your floor, something like that. So any of those tasks that I've just listed off there, if that feels like it's going to be a fit for you today, then just go ahead and crack on. So what I'm actually going to do first before I start my main washing up is, I know that I'm going to have so much to hand wash because my dishwasher's already running, that I'm going to be stacking plates and mugs and things all around and basically beyond my usual drying space. So I just want to make sure that that's actually clean before I get started, because we've been quite messy in the kitchen. So I've just moved my draining rack and I'm wiping underneath. I'm wiping all around the surrounds by my sink, where I might in a moment be placing mugs and that kind of thing, just so I know it's clean to put clean dishes on. And then I'm just going to give that another rinse just to make sure that's super nice, because I don't want to be putting the lips of any mugs or glasses onto sticky spots. Okay, we are good. So I'm using a scrub mummy to do my hand washing today, and I'm using the elbow grease washing up liquid in lemon. So crack away however you do your dishes. So what's your setup? I saw an amazing advert for a dish drainer on TikTok today that was like custom designed to fit like all the different items that we tend to have to do in a hand wash. So it like had a custom space for like a big cutting board, it had custom space for different types of cutlery, like it had like a really cool hanging method for mugs, and it could fit an absolute load on it as well. It was like double layered, and I felt like for somebody who doesn't have a dishwasher, or even for people who do have a dishwasher, I was like, this is amazing. So what's your setup like? For me, I've kind of got like, I don't know, I guess it's from the days when like shabby chic was a trend. I probably bought it around that time. I've got this like cream coloured shabby chic style, drainer thing, and then that's where I put like most of my items, and then I've got a cutlery drainer, which I think was probably just from IKEA, like a stainless steel thing, I'm not sure exactly, but that's quite good, and that goes to the dishwasher as well when I want to clean it. My shabby chic drainer is good though, because it has very high sides, so it means that I can really stack it up and not worry about things falling over or creating an avalanche. And what kind of sponge and products are you enjoying using at the moment? I tend to love the smell of washing up liquid. I've recently moved from the original fairy liquid to trying out this lemon scented elbow grease. I feel like I'm a bit disappointed with the elbow grease because I thought it was going to smell a lot more lemony than it actually does. So I feel like scent-wise, I think that Fairy Original is probably a little bit better, and I think soap-wise as well. But I do like to try different things from time to time, so no regrets. It's quite good to have a change. The sponge I'm using is the original Scrub Mommy. It's definitely on its last leg, so even in the process of this clean, I may need to throw it away because it's getting kind of like crazy. Those who use Scrub Mummies will know they get to the point where they're kind of about to basically completely disintegrate. And they start to go like a bit hairy and crazy looking, so I'm nearly at that point. But I'm hanging on, and they are such a good product, by the way. So if anybody is thinking about investing in new sponge but feels a bit like, oh, is it worth the extra price for a scrub mummy or a scrub daddy, I definitely do recommend them. They're really good, and I kind of feel like they're worth the extra spend. So that's soaps and sponges, but also what do you have in terms of your sink setup? So there's so many different sink designs these days, and depending on where you are in the world as well, you're more likely to have a certain setup rather than another. So like if you're listening in the States, you're more likely to have a garbage disposal, whereas that's quite unusual in this country. That said, I actually do have one fitted in my apartment, but I've never seen that anywhere else. Like, it's really unusual to have that in this country. And that might impact how you do the dishes. So most people in the UK will just do their dishes in the main sink, and then they'll have like a food catcher at the bottom of the sink so that they can tip that out when it gets full, and that stops things from clogging the drains. But if you have a garbage disposal, you can just rinse everything down the garbage disposal and then switch it on and then rinse that out. I've got a stainless steel sink, which I think is really good because they're so easy to clean, and you can use like chemicals in them and stuff and not have to worry. But I know some people have things like copper sinks, and a lot of people I've seen online recently tend to have these like, well, they look like plastic sinks to me. And actually my parents have got something like that. I don't know, but yeah, whether it's, you would call it plastic or something, but it's not stainless steel. I do think I like stainless steel though, because it feels kind of indestructible and it's very scratch resistant. And sinks can take quite a beating. So I'm wondering how many of you listening here today, like what the split is between people who have dishwashers and people who are hand washing. Like, I'm wondering, is it quite unusual not to have a dishwasher these days, or is that the reality for a lot of people still? I'm trying to think of like places where I've lived previously and what the setup's been like. So where I lived before I live in this apartment, I did have a dishwasher. It wasn't automatically fitted with one, but it had the space where I could put one in, and I ended up doing that after we'd lived there for a few years. But the two flats I lived before that, one bedroom flats, they didn't have dishwashers. So I feel like I've had a combination of experiences with that. But I know that once you've had a dishwasher, it's a bit like, how did we ever even manage not having one? But then part of me also thinks, but maybe when you don't have a dishwasher, it makes you do the washing up more frequently, and maybe weirdly you actually end up being tidier and cleaner. I don't know, is that a thing? Yeah, the elbow grease is definitely not as foamy and doesn't last as long as fairy liquid. I'm finding I'm having to quite frequently top up my sponge. And what I've got to wash up today really is a whole load of different things. So I've just been through a lot of crockery, drinking containers, washing out recycling, washing out bowls, jars. It really is a bit of everything. Ordinarily, if I'm on top of the kitchen, then because we have a dishwasher, we just end up hand washing things like recycling and the inevitable few bits and pieces that don't go through a dishwasher cycle. But today it's just like a major catch-up moment, so it's kind of everything. So I'm getting through cutlery and all sorts here. And I also feel like this is the kind of kitchen cleanup as well, which might apply if you have. In fact, this would be a really good podcast to listen to if you have just been entertaining, because it includes all of the spaces that you might need to pay attention to. Like if you've had coffee and games in the living room, if you have had a formal dinner at a dining table, if you have been busy in the kitchen cooking up something lovely and unusual, and yeah, this would be a good, and because it's the evening as well, this would be a great podcast to remember to come back to if that's something you're doing in the future and you want a little bit of cleaning motivation at the end of the night. And it also applies because if we've been entertaining or we've had a lot of stuff on the go in the kitchen, it is usually the case that you fill your dishwasher, but then you still need to go the extra mile. Cleaning to get everything clean. So, progress update for me, I've nearly filled the drainer, but I'm going to keep stacking that up as much as I can until I feel like I'm going to start breaking things. And when I get to that point, I will then start carefully stacking clean, rinsed items around the drainer on the kitchen counter. And I just have a particular way of positioning things so that they'll still dry. So for example, if I've just rinsed a mug, I don't just put it straight flush against the kitchen counter. I will just leave it just slightly off so that air can still get in there and it can still dry. And once I've filled the extra spaces around the sink and the drainer, and if I still need extra draining space, we actually have two sinks. It's one sink and then a little mini sink which has our garbage disposal at the bottom of it. But if I need more draining space, what I'll do is I will firstly clean out that little mini sink so it's nice and fresh, and then I will put plates and dishes or whatever straight in there to drain dry. Does anyone else find the sound of the dishwasher to be really comforting in the evening? I think it's a childhood memory for me, because I think I would often be in the kitchen in the evening and then hear that sound going on, and my parents would set it to run in the evening. So yeah, it just has a really nice sound to it. And how do you guys who are listening there, how do you feel about the washing up? It can be a bit of a controversial task in a home. Some people like it, some people hate it, some people rather do the cooking, some people would rather do the cleaning up afterwards. I feel like for me it blows really hot and cold. If I have energy and I'm feeling kind of motivated, especially if I'm feeling motivated as well to record this podcast, then I can sometimes quite get into doing the washing up. But when I'm not feeling it, it honestly feels like the worst task in the world. It just feels like insurmountable. Like, how could I possibly wash up and clear up after dinner? Like, oh God, struggle days. And it's especially sad if there's a really sad job, which I do have today. So we had pizza for dinner, as mentioned, the macaroni pizza. And I've never had this happen with a pizza before. I normally cook pizzas straight on my oven rack, and because it makes the bottom nice and crispy, and then it's always been the case for me previously that they just slide straight off when they're done, and it doesn't even tend to create that much mess in your oven. It just feels quite dry underneath. But this macaroni pizza is basically, as it was cooking, I think because it had a really soft base, it cemented itself to this oven rack, and it's left me with quite a clean-up job. So this oven rack has got bits of this pizza base stuck all over it, and melted on cheese and everything. So I'm not exactly sure how I'm going to clean this, or if it's going to work with the scrub mummy, but I'm going in. And also the annoying thing about, especially with the size of my sink anyway, some beautiful big American kitchens and that kind of thing might have a bigger sink to do this, but most British sinks aren't big enough to soak your oven racks. So it's you can only put in dip one end at a time in a cleaning solution. You'd have to go and put it in your bath if you wanted to soak the whole thing, which feels so gross. And that isn't an option for me today, so I'm just gonna have to scrub this down as best I can. I feel like it's kind of coming off. But you know what would be great for this, which I actually don't have in at the moment, but I'm definitely going to purchase on my next cleaning haul? Stainless steel scourers. Oh, they are so good for certain jobs, and I feel like for some jobs they're just the only thing that actually works. So for something like an oven clean or oven racks, they are so good. You've obviously got to be careful with stainless steel scourers, because I feel like if you use them on the wrong surface they can really fuck it up. But if you know what you're doing with them, yeah, they are pretty good. So I'm with you in spirit if you are currently trying to clean out some crazy burnt on food or something horrendous in your kitchen. Yeah, I fear that without a sponge scourer I'm not going to be able to do this with the scrub mommy. That is the one downside of the scrub mommy, is it doesn't always have enough scrub power. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to rinse this rack, and then on the next dishwasher run I'm going to put it in the dishwasher and see if that helps. And if that doesn't help, then the next thing would be to go and purchase some stainless steel scourers and see if that can make a difference. So at this point, non-garbage disposal people, you may want to be picking up or doing a trip to the bin with all of the food that you have collected. I also as well, I quite often have random stuff to clean in the hand wash as well. So usually it's, or often it's not even things that are related to the kitchen. So there's a couple of travel pouches that I want, like plastic travel pouches that I wanted to give a good rinse out with fairy liquid. We've recently been going through a lot of our travel items because we've just been away for a couple of days, so that kind of had us bringing the suitcases down, and we've got a bigger trip lined up in June which we're preparing for. So yeah, that's why I was cleaning those backpacks which I mentioned earlier and sorting through travel pouches and whatnot. So what other random items are you cleaning today in your kitchen? I feel like there's always something random being washed by hand in our house. And if you're in the category of people who are doing all of the other tasks because you're pretty on top of your washing up, how are you getting along? So I think I mentioned a spot oven clean, I think I mentioned a hob clean, I think I mentioned a hood clean, I think I mentioned a floor clean or sorting out a cupboard. If you have got through that already, no worries, you could start cleaning out a microwave or a toaster. Okay, so I am now at the point of my clean where I do need to clean out that second sink. And maybe if you're on a mega washing up marathon today and you've actually just completely run out of any space to put clean dishes, maybe you just need to stop for a second and pick up a tea towel and start drying some items to create more room for yourself. So with my scrub mummy, it's like only got 2/3 of its pink foam left. That's how on the last legs it is. She's disintegrating moment by moment. still got a bit more to do, but the end is in sight for me now. So how's it going? I hope that that is the same for you as well, and you feel like you're nearly there. If anybody's dishwasher as well is finishing in this time and you've finished your hand washing, go ahead and start unloading that. And with this session, we are not doing anything fancy, okay? We are literally just going to be wiping surfaces down after this. So fear not. And what time is it for you guys where you are? I feel like I've not got my watch near me, but I reckon it's about 10:30 where I am, so it's definitely going to be time for me to wind down and head to bed after this. But I'm pleased that I've got through this stuff, because whilst it's absolutely fine to wake up to a messy house, there is no problem with that at all. It's so nice when it's clean and tidy. It's a good feeling, isn't it? So I'm very nearly there. I think I've got a glass, a water bottle, a lemon squeezer, a cafetiere, a plate, knife, fork, cup. So I'm getting there, but my goodness, have I had a lot to get through. So I reckon for washing up, I'm going to be on my last minute. So final countdown for washing up tasks, and as always, pause the podcast if you need longer, and if you're doing any of those extra additional tasks and you're not quite ready to finish yet, just pause the podcast. Okay, oh my god, that felt like such a marathon. So with the suds that are left on my sponge, I'm gonna run that round my sink and clean it. And then obviously make sure those suds are rinsed away. Rinse out your sponge. If it's time for a sponge change after all of that cleaning, then make sure you do that. And it is for me. My scrub mummy is beaten up. So I am definitely throwing her in the bin. So time scrub mummy. And I'm replacing her with, sadly, not a scrub mummy. I'm replacing her with like the most basic of basic sponge scourers, which I bought a big pack of at the supermarket a few weeks ago. Slight regrets about buying them. At the time I was like, oh, it's great, they're cheap and I'm saving money, but actually they're a bit shit really, but it's fine. We'll get through those and use those. And if some of you here maybe use like a Dishmatic, maybe it's time to top up that Dishmatic with more soap. Maybe some of you need to change a Dishmatic head, maybe some of you need to discard a washing up brush and replace that, maybe some of you need a new dishcloth. Whatever it is for you, go ahead with it. So next, spray down all your surfaces. And just go over those with a cloth or a sponge. I'm using a green microfiber cloth. You get them from IKEA. One side is kind of the traditional microfiber material and the other side has a slight like scouring effect, which can be useful. But I feel like most of the time I use the microfiber side because it picks up better from your surfaces, I think. But I know that I think there's a brand in the UK called Spuntex which do good microfiber cloths. And I do think they're really good for kitchens and general household work. I think what I like about a microfiber cloth as opposed to a cotton traditional dishcloth is that when you wash those up and fold them and put them back in your cleaning drawer, you can use the microfiber cloth for anything, like dusting, like absorbent jobs around the home, like different things. But I feel like those traditional cotton dishcloths, they are less effective for general household cleaning. So if you buy them, like I guess they're okay to wipe your kitchen surfaces with, but I find their use is slightly limited because you can't use them for all your different jobs around the home. So I tend in general not to buy those, but you never know, I'm always tempted by trying something from the cleaning aisle. And at this point, if you have anything like a bar stool or something like that, or kitchen chairs, maybe now's your time, now you wipe down your surfaces, to just wipe down that area, or at the very least straighten up that area. What happens for us is we tend to use our kitchen stools to plonk things on or hang things off, so sometimes they need a quick tidy. and I think I'm pretty much there. So it's not perfect, but it's where I want it to be for tonight. So I'll chat you through what I can see and then wrap up the podcast shortly. So what I can see is a kitchen area which still looks kind of crazy because there's so much stuff drying everywhere, but that's fine. I'm just leaving that to do its thing overnight. The stove top still needs cleaning for me, but I'm just not going to do that now because I'm tired. It's not the kind of day, and I've also got that oven rack resting on the stove top, which I can only put in the dishwasher once the dishwasher's done. So I'm just waiting for that. I've got a pile of recycling which I need to take to our recycling station in our apartment building tomorrow because we've got a big load of recycling to do, and I've also got a bin situation which I need to sort out in the morning, so I've kind of got like 1.5 full bin bags tied and ready to be taken out in the kitchen. And that's it. So it doesn't look totally perfect. There's still obviously some jobs to do there, but it's clean, it's sanitary, and it's definitely made my life more bearable tomorrow. So that's it. I hope this podcast has been helpful and motivating for any of you who've listened along, and I will see you in a podcast soon.